fingers glow. We'll sip our worries away, nice and slow. Your laughter ripples like sweet warm wine. In this jazzy sultry space you're mine. The saxophone croons a velvet tune, while melodies dance beneath the moon. We'll toast to moments both grand and small, in this hazy, lazy, jazz-touched hall. Let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you. Your eyes, they sparkle with every click. Sweet rendezvous over a simple drink. We'll share our secrets in whispers low, just you and me where the jazz flows slow. The world outside fades into the mist, but here it's our own dreamy tryst. With each sip our worries drift away. Let's stay together till the break of day. So let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you.
The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer inebriation is advised, though not mandatory.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
Okay, that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. Tell all our friends about Batman, specifically the iteration that brought superhero films into the mainstream and caused Hollywood to learn all the wrong lessons. Good evening and welcome to Last Call, where tonight we are taking you back to 1989 and the Tim Burton classic, Batman. We're going to talk about the films, the Batmania, and of course, I'm going to sip on a brown mumbler. So get comfortable, top off your glasses, tell me what you're sipping on in the chat, and we'll talk about the first time we heard
I'm Batman.
Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
Did it again. Yeah, it's one of the dangers of EVMux. I see some of the big channels that are using EVMux make the same mistake for the same reason. So that's my story, and I'm sticking
Take two.
Take two. Thank you. Salud and welcome. So glad you're all here because, boy, it's been a brutal week, and I've been looking forward to this all week. Let me start by saying hi to the chat, starting with FKHC 2005, whom tonight we will know as First. Welcome, Tim. Good to see you. And Big Al presents, hello, my friends. Have a great show. I remember that summer well. Bat symbols everywhere. To quote Core, it was glorious. Absolutely. And please make sure that you check out Big Al Presents' latest 10-word review, The Invisible Man from 1933. And I've got the link in the chat for you to go check that out. Preferably right-click on it, save it to watch later. Stick with us because I think it's going to be a good one tonight. Connie Cleary, hail, welcome. So glad you're here. And of course, the lovely and talented Netter of Netters Network. How you doing, my dear, and what you sipping on tonight?
I'm doing okay because it's Friday,
Mhm.
and I am just sipping on some, I think it's cranberry grape juice.
Didn't even add any coconut rum to it tonight?
No, I want to be awake for the stream.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm already very, very tired,
Oh,
and alcohol will make me sleepy.
That's true. You didn't sleep too well last night. That's fair. Good evening, David Pensack. Haven't seen you in a while, my friend. Good to see you. I was working for Warner Brothers at this time while in college, back when Batman first came out. Loved promoting this film. Good. Be sharing a lot of memories tonight, I think. And did I say hi to channel member JPRPH1? He's actually a member twice over. He was gifted a membership last week on his second channel. So he's listed in the credits tonight twice. He dropped the membership emojis, the Canarble Wagon, the fedora, the brown mumbler, and of course the logo. So thank you, my friend. And speaking of gifted membership, Ruby Hoove gifted a membership to Jeff B. Welcome, Jeff B. I know you're not actually physically here in the chat right now, but hope you will be in the future. And Ruby Hoove, thank you so much for your constant support of the channel. Super appreciate you so much. And she's saying hi to Netter of Netters Network. There you go.
Hi, Ruby.
Sir Torrin Clegane, who was our guest host last week, talking about soap operas. That was last week, right?
Yes.
The weeks kind of blur together because of time. And Evelyn Hampton, she says, good evening, everybody. Sipping on Ensure Clear protein drink. A clear protein drink? I can't even imagine what that's like. Hope you enjoy it, but protein drinks are good. At least they're good for you. Evelyn Hampton will be joining Big Al and Netter and myself tomorrow night on Big Al's channel for the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Looking forward to that in a big way. Oh, and she's saying hi to me too. Thank you so much, Ruby Hoove. And Deleted Scenes. Salute, my friend. Good to see you. And of course, he says like, share, subscribe, and become a member if you are so inclined. Super appreciate that. Remember, Monday night at the movies is moving to members night at the movies. So if you want to join us for live films on Monday night, rewatches, become a member. Looking forward to it. Let's see here. Oh, and she also dropped a $2 super chat. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much, Ruby. You are wonderful. You didn't have to do that, but I super appreciate it. I'm not still muted, right?
No.
Okay. Just double checking. Yeah. See, oh, there you go. Mark Melnikoff says, have a great, here I are. Get that Canarble Wagon rolling. Blah. Okay, so you're home from the dilithium mines. Some interesting business going on there. Don't want to dox him and what company he works for, but they've recently had some interesting information you could find out about on Forbes if you knew which company he worked for. Let's see here. Thank you for the 10-word shout out. I think I probably said more than 10 words about your 10-word shout out, but there you go. I actually put the answer to the question that either you or Boomer asked about the mask scene in the comment section of Laxui's stream. Yes, I did see that. Definitely go back and check that out if you are so inclined. Channel member Tim Hayes, hail and welcome. So good to see you, my friend. Curtis Selby, the tired midnight blogger himself. Welcome, my friend. Don't want to miss nobody. You guys are all saying hi to each other, and I think that I am caught up. So let's go ahead and get into this. Of course, I want to know what you all are sipping on. Let me know. It doesn't have to be alcoholic. If you're avoiding alcohol, that's fine because that means more for me. And let me know what your background is with the Tim Burton Batman. That's what we'll be talking about tonight. If we have enough time, if we get through the discussion about the first Batman movie, we'll start talking a little bit about Batman Returns. But right now, we're going back to 1989, the summer of 1989.
Uh-huh. Am I here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you didn't say hi to me.
You're right. I did not go out. My apologies.
Hi,
Didn't say hi.
Boomer!
Hi,
See?
how you doing? What you sipping on?
I
That's-
got juice.
Yeah, Netter's got juice. And what are you sipping
I
on,
have a
Boomer?
Coca-Cola Classic. That's all.
Are you sure it's not a Vichy Soir? It's not a tea. It's not a
No Coca-Cola tie-ins to the first Batman, as far as I know. But there was a Diet Coke tie-in to Batman Returns.
There you go. There you go.
But here
man, we should probably think more about that when we talk about movies like this. We should talk about what were the tie-ins.
Well ahead of
Tim,
you.
Tim
It's in
Hayes
there.
says he's sipping on water at the moment.
That's good for you.
But I have some Sprite and Dr. Pepper soon. That's absolutely fair. And I thought I saw. Did I miss? I know that I saw. There he is. Jesse Green, 619. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. And Sir Torrin is saying Batman 89 was one of the first DVDs he ever owned, and one of the few I will never sell. Fair enough. Fair enough. But it's a Warner Brothers DVD. Better check and make sure that it has not succumbed to DVD rot.
Well, it depends. I don't know about the re-released double disc editions. I think their original versions are probably okay. Probably the stuff they released early on in the cycle was okay. Yeah. It was that weird period they had. I told you my Superman DVDs didn't work, and I thought it was a fluke, and then I find out about this other thing. If you want, though, Satoran, you can always rebuy them on, if you have a Blu-ray player, you can get a whole 4-pack of them on Blu-ray, and I guarantee 2 of those movies in the 4-pack are good. Anyway.
He goes on to say this was the second live-action Batman film he ever saw. Same here, because I had seen the original Batman, what was it, 66?
I think so.
Which was released in theaters. Yeah.
It came out the same year the series aired, I believe, right? Yeah.
It did. I'm not sure if it was meant to... And I think it was shown out of order. They filmed it in a different order than it aired, but I don't know. Either way, it was that's the whole shark repellent thing, and the whole meme about some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Deep Pensek says Warner Brothers DVD years with rot are from 2005 2008. Your Batman disc should be okay because those were re-released in 2004 to coincide with Batman Begins. That's when Warner Brothers did these fancy double disc editions of the original movies.
And I thought I saw somewhere here, Jesse, maybe I was wrong. I think it was Jesse Green was saying something about having picked it up on VH. Oh, yeah. It was in his comment about Diet Coke. Had tie-ins with Batman 89. I think I remember it on VHS. Yeah. I had it on VHS. I don't think I still have the VHS. I do have it on DVD. And I currently have all of my Batman films, at least all of the ones up to the Nolan series, in a custom collected DVD case. It does include the fan film Death of the Batman.
Oh, so Torrance says Batman Forever was the first Batman movie he ever saw.
I'm sorry.
We may eventually get to the Schumacher movies, but tonight I wanted to focus
that
on
is
Burton.
Probably not the best introduction to Batman films. I think
So
Batman
bad.
89 was a good introduction. So
It was really my introduction to Batman. In fact, do you mind if I go to the first slide? Let's just do that.
It. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started.
Remember this.
June
this
of
is all you saw.
89. Yep.
All you
that
saw.
Was enough. That was enough.
It was the bat symbol in the gold, because this was the new. I don't know if this was even in the comics yet. I think it later on became synonymous in the comics. And it just said a date. And you're like, what is this? And you knew something big was coming.
Fans knew what it was, yeah.
But even people who weren't as familiar with the comics, like I knew Superman, and I knew Batman through osmosis. I knew a little bit about him, but I wasn't a big comic book reader because let's face facts. This came out. This was being announced when I was in the 6th grade, and I wasn't even in middle school.
By the way, I do have to highlight Netter's icon. This is from our cosplay days.
Awesome.
Her as specifically it was
Stephanie Brown.
Stephanie Brown, Batgirl. Yes, because blonde, right? So
awesome.
Whoops. Let me shrink her back down again. There we go.
Shrink her back down the side.
Don't shrink me.
There wasn't a shrink ray on Batman the Brave and the Bold, but there was one episode where Batman got hit with a ray that made him turn younger. But he was with Captain Marvel and his group, and when he becomes like a preteen, like Mary Marvel says, wow, Batman, that's really cool what you're doing there. Oh, shucks, thanks, Mary. Like he had a crush on her or something, you know? It was the funniest
That's
thing.
Funny. I'll tell you what, you got a ray that can make people younger. That's not a weapon. That's a feature. That's
it wouldn't stop de-aging him. It wouldn't stop de-aging him. Like
he continued to get younger.
Becoming a child. Eventually, he just disappeared because he would keep getting younger and younger and younger. That was where the problem was. Because for a while he was still able to act like Batman, but it kept getting worse the younger he got. You know?
Yeah.
But this was Batman. Anyway, I got off on a Brave and the Bold tangent. We're back in '89. Many people's first exposure to Batman. We knew about the 1960 series, but that was like a campy show, which now in retrospect, I always thumbed my nose at it back then, but I think it was a lot more intelligent and clever than I give it credit for. And I should probably do a rewatch of that myself someday. In fact, I got a very nice Blu-ray and DVD set a few years back.
I should mention real quick. I suspect that since we're doing this, I'm sure at some point we'll get to the Batman 66 series. We'll dedicate an episode to that too. Yeah. It definitely deserves some love. You're right.
I've watched clips of it over the years. But this was Batman 89. This was a huge summer for movies. I'm pretty sure we talked about summer of 89 before on the stream. But remember Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade came out this summer. I believe Ghostbusters 2 came out this summer. So there were a lot of movies, but you knew in the back of your mind Batman was coming out. Yeah. And Batman was bigger than Indiana Jones. I want to explain that to you, that this Batman movie was going to be bigger than Indiana Jones. Yeah. That meant it was going to be huge because, of course, Steven Spielberg directing an Indiana Jones movie, what could be bigger than that? But you have this Batman movie being previewed, and you saw little commercials for it. Yeah. You saw Michael Keaton in the costume, and I knew Michael Keaton because I'd seen him in the movie, I forgot, where he played a patient at a mental institution.
Yep.
And it was interesting. Christopher Lloyd was in it too. It was like a kind of a comedy, and they like get loose during the movie. But I knew him as a comic actor. I knew him as Beetlejuice a few years earlier. So I thought it was.
And so this was the conversation around the comic book shop. So in 1989, that was my senior year in high school. And I was going to the local comic book shop every Wednesday, because I was picking up my comics. In fact, the past couple of weeks, I've been reorganizing and cataloging my old comics, kind of taking a little trip down memory lane. And I remember it was Valentine's Comics in Brookfield, Illinois. Cool. And they're long gone. They're not there anymore. But I remember talking to Valentine and saying, I've seen these posters about the new Batman movie. He goes, yeah, guess who they cast as Batman? I said, I don't know. He says, Michael Keaton. I said, Beetlejuice? Mr. Mom? He's like, yeah. I'm like, no. I think you got that wrong. I think he's cast as the Joker. Nope, he's Batman. I'm like, I don't know about this. Well, I got to admit, once the movie came out, I was proven wrong. That was a good choice. He definitely pulled it off.
Yeah, because you're so used to seeing him in comedic roles.
Yeah.
And then you see him in the serious role. It's like, wow, he really pulled that off.
And even as the, alter ego, bumbling Bruce Wayne, he's not that bumbling. You know, it's clearly an act. Kind of like Clark Kent,
Billionaire Bruce Wayne, yeah. And
there's a great scene with is it Al Goff that the actor that played Alfred?
Yeah, British actor, famous British actor. He was actually the Celestial Toy Maker on Doctor Who.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Who we'll be talking about in the very near future because we got some Doctor Who content coming up in the next couple weeks. But there's a great interchange in this movie where Bruce Wayne is throwing a high society party at Wayne Manor, and he has a glass of champagne and he goes to put it down and he puts it down on the edge of the table and starts to fall, and suddenly Alfred's right there to pick it up, and then he signs something with a pen. He sticks the pen into a plant. Alfred's right behind him to take the pen out of the plant. It's actually quite funny, but there is a scene where you realize it's all completely an act. Michael Keaton is Batman, so there's not a big surprise there. But you see him acting all silly, and you're kind of seeing it from the point of view of Vicky Vale and Knox, who are at the party. Mm-hmm. And there's one point he's talking to them, and Alfred comes up to him and says, "There's a call for you, sir." He goes, "Oh, okay. I'll go pick that up in a second." He goes, "On the other phone, sir?" Oh, okay. Excuse me. And he excuses himself. He walks away into a room where there's nobody. There's a big grandfather clock, and he hits the secret button or whatever, and it's a secret door into the Batcave, and he goes into it. And as the door is closing behind him, I said, this is how I knew what a good actor Michael Keaton was, because you could see it in his face.
Yeah.
He's not wearing a cowl. He's dressed in a suit. He is Bruce Wayne, but his demeanor changes, and he's Batman. In fact, that's a great example, because there he is sitting in front of the Bat computer, and he is Batman. He's not wearing a cowl, but he's Batman. You know what I mean?
Part of it is the furrowed brow.
Yeah. The seriousness.
It makes him look more serious.
And of course, there's the element of, and we've said this many times before, and we're not the only ones.
He's got the bat lips.
He's got the bat lips. That's absolutely true. That's why Val Kilmer, I think, was a good replacement casting. We'll talk about that though in another time. But
Let's
yeah,
there's Vicky Vale.
Yes, who I think they were looking for who is the female equivalent to Lois Lane. And yeah, I suppose in the comics Vicky Vale kind of did fill that role. She was not at all that important in Batman's life long term.
But she was a love interest for a while in the comics, wasn't she? I mean,
she was. In fact, it would have been great if she'd have stuck around a little longer, because there was another girl, I can't remember her name, but they had a little love triangle thing going on for a while. But both kind of fell away, and Selena Kyle definitely took that role. And I think that Selena Kyle, for most comic book fans, is the final girl for Batman, just like Lois Lane is for Superman.
I don't know, though. I do like Vicky Vale in this, though. In fact, I like the idea that maybe some people hate when they try this, that Batman could have a semi-normal life and maybe eventually just right off into the sunset. But look at this though. This is Kim Basinger. This is
Yeah.
peak Kim Basinger.
Yes.
Oh, she's such a nerd with those glasses, huh? I'm sorry.
I'll tell you. And I love see, this was another element of this is a very different film from the Donner Superman.
Yeah.
Remember, we always talk about how Donner's slogan, and his raison d'etre for the Superman movie was verisimilitude, right? Although that is not the case with Batman, it's very over the top in a lot of ways. Tim Burton still takes it seriously, and
he does, yeah.
In all the right ways. He's got some humor in there. He's over the top, very fantastical in a very Tim Burton way, in a way that works well with Batman. But he took it seriously enough that you could almost imagine that Christopher Reeve's Superman is working Metropolis while Michael Keaton's Batman is working Gotham City.
Yeah. Let's see here. That's Knox.
Yeah.
Is he from the comics?
He is not. He is not at all. But there's nothing wrong with that. He's a character I would have loved to have seen make his way into the comics, as a lot of other characters that have been introduced in live action films have done. I'm not sure that he did, but great character. I love the scene at the party where he says, of course, Bruce is playing the host, and he's, can I get you anything? He goes, a grant? And everyone laughs. And as he's leaving, he goes, crack open two more cases of champagne and give Knox a grant. And walks away. And it's like, he took the joke seriously, and he's got the money to do it,
What was funny, though, I know he was trying to go out with Vicky Vale, and they just, I have a date with Bruce Wayne. He's like, no!
Yeah. But he plays it off as a really...
he's a good guy at the end.
He's a good guy, good every guy. There's a great scene towards the end where at the big denouement, right, where there's the big fight and the gas is whatever. He picks up a handkerchief, puts it over his face, grabs a tire iron, and starts trying to beat up the bad guys and help people.
No,
he's just a Joe Nobody.
He's a man of action. Yeah.
He's not very effective, but it's like, I don't care.
His heart is in the right place.
Yeah, you gotta respect that,
I love the first time.
So this is, of course, this is, of course, the scene that I clipped for my monologue. What are you? I'm Batman. That's the first time you hear that line. So every time you hear, I'm Batman, it's referencing this specific scene. Great little bait and switch in the narrative, right?
There's an echo there, and of course, I didn't necessarily know his origin story going into this. So anyone who did would see this and think, "Oh, this is going to be that's
exactly what I thought."
Wayne.
You see the couple with the kid going down the alley, and anyone who knows Batman's origin is going, "Oh, we're starting right from the origin," and it turns out it's not.
Yeah,
because first they don't get killed. Secondly, Batman shows up to stop them, but you almost you get the impression Batman's watching this happen, and then he moves in to capture them. This is very Batman year one for the comic book fans, right? Because he's establishing himself. He is kind of an urban legend.
People think he's a supernatural thing. They don't even think he's
a
man.
He's supernatural. Yeah. People think he's a cryptid. He doesn't really exist. But that's very much going back to the noir origins of Batman. In the first Batman comic, and somebody help me out. I don't know Batman's comic origins as well as I know Superman's, because it wasn't Batman comic. It was like Detective Comic or something.
Detective Comics.
Where the line, criminals are a cowardly, superstitious lot.
Yes.
Which is why he becomes the Batman. because he knows that the fear he can use against them.
Probably
And
because
it's
there's
very
some repressed guilt about what they do. So,
well
like they're
true.
thinking, I'm doing all these terrible things, but and they,
Let's
I
face
was
it.
always
There
taught
is
to be comeuppance, and then of course this
it
thing
kind
is
of
not
is
respected.
cowardly,
So,
right? If you've got to steal instead of making an honest living, that's a very cowardly way to. Plus, they're always assuming they're always going to be paranoid, assuming there's police around every corner and whatnot. But you definitely get that in this because he beats the crap out of these two guys, and they had just been talking about some associate of theirs who apparently stepped off a building or something. We don't know. We don't know for sure if Batman killed this guy.
maybe the guy ran from him and fell off, that sort
Maybe
of
we
thing.
have
Yeah.
no idea if or if Batman was even involved. All we know is that people ascribe it to Batman because he's building this legend. So that's the backstory that we get from the villains. And then when he captures him and he takes this guy and he's got him by the lapels, he's hanging him over the side of the building. He's like, "Don't kill me, man! Don't kill me! I'm not going to kill you. I want you to do something for me. I want you to tell all your friends about me. Who are you? I'm Batman." So this is very, very show don't tell.
Yep.
This is him building his legend. Like I said, Batman Year One.
Satirical Gain says, when I watched it for the first time, my uncle was watching it with me, telling me to wait during that scene. Then Batman appeared, and it blew my little mind. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, didn't see the comment.
It's the latest
yeah.
one, anyway. But it was cool, and it was just it really does establish that this was like, I'm telling you, at the time, I remember this was unlike anything I'd ever seen before in a movie.
So this is also very much for the comic book fans, this was very much in that Silver Age, or just coming out of the Silver Age, just going into the Bronze Age, blue and gray Batman era. In fact, check out, God bless you.
He's in touch.
Check out Michael French's most recent video, which just dropped today. At least I think it dropped today. It might drop tomorrow because he may have dropped it early for Patreon members. He's talking about he picked up some Lego Batman figures.
Yeah,
and they're in the style of the Kenner Superpower collection, and I actually don't now remember where I was going with this. Oh yes, he was saying that this was the era of Batman that the superpowers came out of, and this was before he was like all in black. So a lot of the comic book fans were like, not sure I'm buying the black leather, but yeah, it kind of makes sense. There is a certain verisimilitude to that, especially when these very same guys shoot at him, and that armor he's wearing kind of absorb it. And he goes down, and they're like, hey, some kind of putty armor. And you're like, okay, I can kind of believe that,
I mean, it was cool because you figured it was some sort of bulletproof.
That was my first cosplay, by the way.
Oh, Batman?
I did the whole Batman thing, yeah. I've talked about how I used to go to Bishop's Magic Shop. I was going and buying the pieces of the costume over time. I bought the cowl, I bought the cape, I eventually bought the chest piece, the belt, the cod piece, the boot spats, and the gloves. The gloves were terrible. I wish I hadn't gotten those gloves. They were worthless. I should have made them from scratch. Right. I had the harpoon gun from a role play toy. It was the utility belt that was put out in the toy section. So it was a little undersized. It had an orange painting on the end, but I'm like, it works, And you'll notice that the bat symbol there only appeared in the first movie. That little one that's got an actual realistic bat tail on it.
It's in Returns, isn't it?
No, it is not. It's the almost same same costume, except they changed the chest piece to look like actual armor, instead of like looking like muscles. And
right. I know what you're
the
talking
symbol
about.
was more like the symbol you see on the promotional material, the traditional Batman symbol.
Oh, I see.
I don't know what the reason is behind that. I was told that there was some sort of rights related issues or something, which makes, again, every time rights issues comes up, it's a problem that Warner Brothers made for their own friggin' self. It wasn't like Marvel where, you know, different movie companies own the rights to different characters. No. Batman was always Warner Brothers. They could do whatever they wanted, but they had the peas and carrots issue, right?
Yes.
You have your plate, and you can't let your peas and carrots touch. Well, it was the same way with the damn superheroes in Warner Brothers. If they had a character on TV and a character in the movies, they kept things separate. So you couldn't use certain villains, you couldn't use certain characters. It was all a friggin' mess that Warner Brothers made for their own damn self.
Well,
Jack Nicholson, The Two Jakes. I love that movie. Oh, wait a minute. This isn't The Two Jakes.
We used the big villain for this movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Batman has a lot of big villains. I'm not trying to discount a lot of his other villains either. There are a lot of heavy hitters, but the Joker, he's one of the big ones. Yes.
So yeah, I always go for my.
See.
Oh, you can't see?
Or maybe the chat can? Oh, maybe I can't see because I'm in the studio.
Oh, wait a minute. I need to move this forward, don't I? Oh, damn.
You
Hold
got,
on a second.
Jack Nicholson's face.
There we go. Can you see that now? Actually, I got to give myself about 15 seconds to see if it comes up on the big screen. Yes, it looks like it is. So I did not have the Joker growing up. This is not the original Joker from the 1970s. This is the new Mego, and that's okay. I'm good with this. But I love the fact that Mego's back because I'm able to catch up on a bunch of figures that I didn't have. I never had the Penguin growing up, so I got the new version of the Penguin, which is almost identical to the one from the 70s. And you'll also notice I got Robin, who is also not the identical Robin from the 70s. But I actually think this one is much, much better. The cape is a cloth cape instead of that... I don't know what it was, like a nylon kind of thing that frayed at the edges. I really, really hated that. This is a much better figure. Also, with the painted hands and gauntlets rather than the mittens that Marvel had that Mego had back in the 70s. That was crazy. The only reason I really brought this out, and we'll get to this later on, I think, this figure is not a Mego figure. And it is not a Toy Biz figure. This is by a company called Kids Biz. I'm sure it's probably related to Toy Biz. But if you want to find out more about this particular figure, check out Analog Toys. Tony does a video about this. He did it about, 3-4 months ago because he picked one up. He'd always wanted it. Did not know this till I saw his video. This is an Australian exclusive. This was never available in the United States.
But you got one.
Well, here's the thing. You'll notice that the size of the card is very different from all the Megos, even though the scale of the figures is spot on, which is why I wanted it. You know, Mr. Mego guy, I needed to have the...
He's a completist.
Yeah. But I am also working on my own custom Michael Keaton screen accurate Mego scale action figure. So let me get back to the presentation and we'll.
But of course, Jack Nicholson, he had. I don't see you on there anymore, Troy. You're not there. Oh, you have to shrink yourself.
Myself back. Yeah, there we are. I'm still getting used to this. Give me a second here. Let me shrink myself down and get out of the way.
But I did want to make a point that if we remember the promotional materials, Jack Nicholson gets top billing for this movie. It's not Michael Keaton. Keaton is second.
Which I always analogize to Marlon Brando and Glenn Ford and...
Jack Nicholson got the higher billing because he's a bigger star.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like it's kind of an unwritten rule in Hollywood. The
No,
big star
it's
gets
an
their name
absolutely written rule. It's part of the contract when you bring somebody in. You bring someone in. Marlon Brando, Glenn Ford, and who was the other big actor in the original Superman movie? Glenn Ford and Jackie Cooper. Well, no, they did not. All three of them. It was Glenn Ford, Marlon Brando got. And Gene Hackman. It was Gene Hackman and Marlon Brando got billing over Christopher Reeve in Superman, and of course Jack Nicholson gets billing over Michael Keaton. Yes, it's because he was probably pulling in a bigger paycheck than Michael.
One of the biggest Hollywood stars at the time.
At the time, he absolutely was. Oh. Let me get back to my my chats here.
Here we go.
I just got home. Well, I'm glad you're home, and I'm glad you're home safely.
Talking about Batman.
Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I super appreciate that, Nate.
This is Jack Nicholson playing Jack Napier. I don't have him. I didn't put a picture of his secret girlfriend on here. I should have another very attractive blonde woman in this movie, but
wasn't that Mick Jagger's wife or something?
Might have been, yeah. The one who's actually the girlfriend of his boss, Grissom, who I don't have a picture of in here, but played by Jack Palance.
Jack Palance, which it's a shame you didn't have a shot of him because
I should have. I forgot. I should have put
Jack Palance
cast in this movie.
Plays. We'll get to Billy D in just a second.
Yeah.
But Jack Palance has this great scene where he's jealous of Jack Nicholson, who's sleeping with his girl. So he sends him on a suicide mission.
Yes.
To get killed. And Jack Nicholson kind of smells a rat. He kind of doesn't want to go. And he goes, "But Jack, come on. You're my number one guy." And later on in the movie, it's really funny where Jack Nicholson as the Joker has the same line to Bob. He goes, "Bob, you're my number one guy," and he does it like over the top, clearly impersonating Jack Palance. Yeah.
What was interesting was Jack Palance got a career resurgence because of this movie, because he was he was like in more of a golden age Hollywood guy, and then he ended up being stuck in a lot of these bad B movies. And then Tim Burton cast him in this part as Charles Grissom, right? The mob boss of Gotham.
Great casting.
And then suddenly he's now in movies like City Slickers. He's starting to get parts again. Yeah, so Burton saved his career, I think. Yeah. In his
what was his name in City Slickers? Wasn't it Curly or something?
Curly,
like that?
Curly.
Yeah, it's like, kill anyone today, Curly? Day's not over.
Oh yeah, that's a great classic comedy. But anyway, so yeah, they get sent down to the Axis chemical plant, if my memory serves.
Acme? Was it Acme Chemicals or Axis?
Acme or Axis? I get the two confused.
There's
a good shot of Alfred along with Michael Keaton there, but there we go. There's the plant right there.
I love that like I don't know what you call it, the German expressionistic, industrialized, over the top, impressionistic kind of. Yeah, I loved
it. So Batman and the police get a tip off that these mob guys are trying to steal records, and I think they go there, nothing's there. We've been set up. Yeah,
David and Deleted are both saying Axis, and Jonas J. Campbell, we have a big YouTuber in our midst right now. But Duke in City Slickers too. That's right. He plays Curly's brother.
Twin brother. He had a twin brother. Yes.
Absolutely. What was it? The meaning of life? It's one thing. Oh, did he tell you the one thing line? Yeah. Absolutely. Jonas, thank you so much for stopping in. It's very encouraging to see you in the chat. If you are not already subscribed, check out that Park Place. He's also a big contributor to WDW Pro's channel. Look, I hate to give away all the trade secrets, but about half the things that we comment on in Geeky Geezers come from those two two sites. So make sure you check them out, subscribe, become members if you are so inclined. They have a lot of great membership exclusive material that you definitely want to check out.
And all the rumors come from Doomcock. Because they're rumors.
All the rumors come from Doomcock. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Doomcock's good people too. Don't. I won't tolerate anyone saying anything bad about those channels for sure.
Here we have Commissioner Gordon, though. Now, the reason he's in this nice suit because he was coming from I guess what was it, a fundraising party hosted by Bruce Wayne. But then he got the call. I love the way the police officers look in this. They have the leather jackets. They're very snazzy looking in this movie. So all the police are there, and also the Batman, and of course there's Bob. I keep wanting to call him Sideshow Bob, but that's not his name.
No, yeah.
The actor playing him, though,
Toy Line called him like Bob the Goon or Bob the Thug.
Bob the Goon, that's his name. Yeah, Bob the Goon, and he was. I think the actor playing him. Do you remember Conan the Destroyer? Remember that? Remember the thief in that? That was Conan's companion. I think it's the same actor. And he goes, "Yeah, my cousin's brother's sister's father said this was the entrance into here." And I remember they were like, "Your father's cousins? No, my brother's." He was trying to correct him.
I was just thinking this, Nate. Thanks for bringing it up. Did you know Tracy Walter, who played Bob, got the role because he's Jack Nicholson's golfing buddy. When they were casting Bob, Nicholson said, "I got a guy," and the rest was history. And they worked perfectly together.
I like him in this part because I like the Joker's goons because of course they're not dressed like clowns in this. Because of course we deal with that in the sequel.
They do have. You'll notice he's got on his lapel there, not lapel, but on his jacket a little patch. That's a picture of a stylized Joker, specifically the Joker from the comics.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
very cool.
Same artwork.
And they're at the plant, and I know he threatens to shoot Gordon at Batman. There's Jack Napier with the gun.
Yep.
And of course, we know what happens next. Do I have a picture of him?
Well,
there's a picture of Batman.
I do want to point out that this origin story for the Joker is absolutely the origin story that is given in the comics, where he falls into the vat, his skin is bleached, he goes insane, and so forth. I think they kind of overdid it. Well, not overdid it, but again, they were going for realism with he shoots at Batman. Batman deflects the bullet, and the bullet bounces off of something, and it goes through.
Messes his cheeks up, yes.
And there's a scene in a little bit where he has to go and get back alley surgery to have it fixed up, and it's what causes the big scars that give him the smile.
Well, because the back alley surgery, you see what I have to work with here. I don't have a picture of that, but I know what you're saying. The one where you don't even see what he looks like yet. And
by the way, the accoutrement that surgeon uses. Those props are reused in the movie. What was it with Rick Moranis?
Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors, right? Exactly. They were the dentist tools.
I was trying to think of different Rick Moranis.
I know. All I could think was Suddenly Seymour. But yeah. But the overall origin here, the heist at Acme Chemicals or Axis, whatever chemicals, that's directly from the comics. I would argue that his identity is Jack Napier, and as a gangster, it was never mentioned in the comics before this, although it seems Axis, I know.
The comics, he's the Red Hood. Yes.
He was the Red Hood.
Yes.
Well, he was some nameless person that was forced to put on the Red Hood. The Red Hood was different people over time.
Trivia on Axis Chemicals. The 1989 Batman film, the chemical factory is renamed Axis Chemicals, combining both Ace Chemicals and the similar Apex Chemicals from The Case of the Chemical Syndicate. The facility was owned by Gotham's Don Carl Grissom, who used it as a sub to get rid of his mentally unhinged subordinate Jack Napier.
Wow. See, that's why I keep making that mistake, because I'm thinking back to the comics. So yeah, fair enough.
May I address a couple comments by Jesse Guajardo in the chat?
Sure. Which one?
First, he says, I swear Tim Burton should still do stop motion films. I will argue, check out Frankenweenie if you haven't seen it, though again at this point it's probably older, but that's a good stop motion Tim Burton.
I like Frankenweenie too.
And,
if you like stop motion animation, make sure you tune in to Big Al Presents tomorrow for the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yeah.
Stop motion done by Ray Harryhausen.
Kind of
the godfather of stop motion.
Basically,
absolutely.
Yeah. I did also want to his other point about how he thinks these are too much like cartoons. I do have to address Jesse Ricardo there. Keep in mind that this is coming off of the Batman 66 series, which was almost like a live action cartoon. From our standpoint back then, this was still more real than that. It's very stylized, but not so far removed from reality that it broke my suspension of disbelief that this could be a real place instead of a fantasy world. But I can almost see, especially people coming off the Nolan movies, how they look back at these movies and now they're seeing it as something more fantasy. So it's interesting. That could be a generational difference in how we look at these movies. Yeah.
And of course, Nate says, like my surgeon says, if you gotta go, go with a smile.
Oh, man. There were so many great lines in this movie.
There was a lot of great quotable lines.
Should I go back to Billy D. Williams real quick? Because he's only
in
this
please
movie a little bit.
So for all the modern, race swapping, what was it? Race swapping, woke, all this kind of stuff. When they cast Billy D. Williams, right?
Yes, as
I
Harvey
don't think
Dent.
anybody had a problem with this casting. We all were like, oh, he's gonna be Two-Face in like the next movie or a future movie.
I wish
he was meant to be.
Yes.
And they this is the one time. This is the one time. Well, I'm sure there might be others.
There are other times too, but yeah.
This was a race swap from the comics that the fans were all like, okay, this is a different Batman. This is a different Two-Face. He's black. Okay, it's Billy D.
Billy D. Williams,
Colt 45. I can get behind this.
Very underrated actor.
When
I feel he should have done more stuff. Yes.
With what's his name? Another three names.
Tommy Lee Jones.
No. They basically race swapped him back to white, and everyone was like, "Damn it! No, we wanted Billy D."
I think he would have been perfect for Two-Face. I think he would have played the role seriously, which is how it should have been played.
Exactly.
Which we didn't get till,
exactly. He was not supposed to be an analog for the Joker.
No,
he was a different character altogether.
Different kind of villain.
I know I'm getting ahead of you, Boomer. I'm going to have to change slides so that I could bring this up. Batman 89 is a comic book sequel to the Tim Burton Batman and Batman Returns. And in this comic, let's see if I can find a... Well, I'm not going to be able to find it quickly, and I'm also a little fuzzy, but Billy D. is recast as the Two-Face in this story. So,
Evelyn Hampton says Billy D. Williams was eye candy. Yeah, and the sad thing was, we know what happens with Two-Face, so part of his face.
Yes, and that makes it all the more tragic, right? Because, and that's going to be true with any actor you pull in for this. But yeah, you didn't want to see him get all.
One of the things I loved on Batman in the animated series, they had Harvey Dent show up in a few episodes before he became Two-Face, where he's just the DA. And you see one scene of him doing the flipping of the coin thing, before he's Two-Face.
You have to, because that establishes his character, and it makes it that much more tragic, because the fact is, and I do think that Nolan did this pretty well when he did Two-Face.
Aaron Eckhart was the actor's name, if I'm getting that right. Maybe
I think so. Yeah.
He's a good actor.
He is meant to be a close friend of Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon. So when he becomes Two-Face, it's got to be that much more tragic.
It is tragic.
It's right up with the idea of Lex Luthor being a close friend of Clark Kent's before
They
things
really played it up on
like that.
Batman the Animated Series, how Harvey Dent was
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne's best friend, and so when that happens to him, it's really tragic.
There's a great
He's equating it to what happened with his parents in his mind.
there's a great bit in there's a graphic novel that I would encourage anybody, if you can find it online, whatever, check it out. It's called Arkham Asylum. It basically the inmates of Arkham have taken over and take all the doctors and staff prisoner, kill some of them, and they're holding them hostage. They want Batman sent in. Basically, the idea being Batman belongs in here with us. And when he finds Harvey Dent, he is, of course, they're all out of their cells. They're all kind of free to roam around. But Harvey is hiding underneath a table in a pool of his own excrement. Because the treatment he's been receiving has made him completely incapable of making simple decisions. The doctor that was treating him, the psychiatrist, says we were trying to wean him off of the coin. The coin is a duality thing, it's either this or that. And we moved him to, a 6-sided dice, and then a 20-sided dice, and then a deck of cards. And now he can't, it's too difficult for him to make a simple decision because there's so many options. He's indecisive. So he can't even decide to eat or go to the bathroom on his own or anything like that. And it's just heartbreaking. And you kind of, you start to wonder from Bruce Wayne's point of view, are the doctors in here as insane as the prisoners? It's maybe it's that kind of a thing. But there's this one point. There's this one point where Bruce gives Harvey his coin back. He goes, Harvey, just here. And Harvey looks at him and goes, thank you. You've always been a good friend. Which implied he knew who Batman was, Bruce Wayne was. It's like there's a part of him that knows, but it's cut off from the Two-Face part of his personality. Very, very interesting story. Worth checking out.
Jessica Grotto says the animated series of Batman showcased the dark side of Harvey Dent, that he had the dark side of aka Big Bad Harv. I think they were anticipating what Burton was planning to do with the character. Yeah. And then, of course, that's not what happened because Burton got kicked off the movies. But
which is a shame.
I think they were trying to estimate.
But But I'll tell you what. Okay, I gotta switch screens again so I can go big.
Yeah.
Screen. This book here, Batman Resurrection. This is a novel I have not yet read, but my understanding is that this is a continuation of the Burton story, although it focuses on the Joker. Funny thing about Jokers, there's 2 in every deck, right? Because they kill. Spoiler for a film from 1989. They kill off the Joker, but. So there's that, and then there's the Batman 89, which I showed you earlier, which continues the story of or introduces the character of Two-Face, but as Tim Burton intended, it was the Billy D. Williams version.
Yes. All right. So let's go to ta-da.
I also have that purple fedora.
He was dressed to the nines. In fact, it's very interesting.
Thinking about doing a Joker cosplay.
It's very interesting how the Ledger outfit, how Ledger's interpretation is very different from Nicholson's. It's almost analogous to like the Danny DeVito Penguin and the new Colin Farrell Penguin.
I feel like Jack Nicholson took a lot of cues from the Cesar Romero interpretation, just maybe a little bit darker. There is a rumor. This is rumor. I don't know this is true, but there is a rumor that Jack Nicholson did a ton of cocaine before he did his scenes as the Joker. And I could totally see that. But at the same time, I could also see he's just acting and people interpret, that way. I don't know.
But yeah,
that was the best Batmobile. I just gotta say,
it's the best Batmobile. I'm trying to
I
think what
love
the worst
this
Batmobile is.
This
but
is
this is the best.
very much a nod to the golden age of Batman. What make of car is this? This is obviously a custom car. It doesn't really exist, but it makes you think of the sedans from the 1930s.
It's gorgeous.
But look at this too. It's got that jet engine, that air intake in the front, because it's a car built around a jet engine.
Yep.
Right, which explains the afterburners in the back. It's literally a car with a jet engine. They thought through the technical aspects of this. Plus, the low baffles that decrease wind resistance. Brilliant idea. Whoever designed this car, that is, to me, the quintessential Batmobile.
Never rub another man's rhubarb. What did that mean?
Never rub another man's rhubarb.
I still don't know what that means.
There's a lot of people that believe that a lot of those lines were just Jack Nicholson improvising. And they're like, fine, let's just go with that.
That's the scene where they're in the art museum. The funny thing about this Joker is he keeps putting on flesh-colored makeup, but then it keeps coming off. Yes.
Right. Well, there was a great scene where he's... this is before, he gets water thrown in his face by Vicky Vale. This is after that, obviously. Mm-hmm. But there's this scene where he takes off his hat, rubs his forehead with a cloth, and you see the white underneath. Mm-hmm. Which is very interesting because there was a very complicated makeup technique done. The handkerchief had alcohol on it to take
off a layer of
makeup underneath. I'll tell you, as a kid, I assumed the cloth had the makeup on it, and he applied the makeup as he wiped his forehead. That's not what they were doing, and I was like, that's just bizarre that they would have his skin with white makeup over it, with flesh over that. I'm like, guys, you're making this way too complicated. There's easier ways to do this.
That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie when the one guy, because he's meeting with all the different gangsters in Gotham City, and this one guy named Antoine, I guess he has a French accent. I want nothing to do with this. Well, nobody wants a war. Let's just shake on it. And then he electrocutes the guy, and he's getting inflamed until he's nothing left but his skeleton.
There's a hot time in the old town tonight. I'll tell you, if you're from Chicago, you know that song. That song's got a close tie to Chicago. So I am down to my drunken cherries.
Yep. Oh, Jessica Ardo's bringing up. I will say the one time when they saw when Harvey Dent was going in for surgery to fix the other side of his face, and what is it? The doctor says, Mr. Wayne says, Two-Face says, "Good friend Bruce." Yeah, because he still sees Bruce Wayne as his good friend. That's because Bruce Wayne was paying for his surgery.
That's right. That's right. He always believed in me, and that was true in the comics. That's what makes the character so tragic, because Bruce sees what Two-Face is. He is still half his friend. Half of his friend is still in there.
Batman believes in reform. He does. Mm-hmm. One of the more tragic episodes of Batman the Animated Series was there was an episode where it seemed like the Penguin was actually trying to reform, and then things went horribly wrong. But that was another one. Or at least not be a criminal anymore,
There was actually a pit in one of my cherries.
Batwing. Oh boy, Batwing kicked butt in this. Look at that.
I love the Batwing. I have the original Kenner Batwing. It's actually out in my garage. I haven't treated it very well. The canopy window has started to yellow, but this was a great, very iconic version of the Batjet. I love the bit where it breaks through the canopy of clouds to pause in front of the moon
Yes.
as if it's the
Yes.
bat signal before
Yep.
falling back. Yeah, that was
Beautiful.
just brilliant, just brilliant.
Again, nothing like it. Kim Basinger, absolutely beautiful in this movie. Michael Keaton was really cool. I thought he was a cool guy when I watched this movie.
Kim Basinger, you like Kim Basinger? Make sure you see 9.5 Weeks. Just saying.
I have.
I love a girl who gets excited about artwork. Just saying.
There you go. This is toward the end. That's her in that dress. I should have had more pictures of her in this, but there's the Joker. There's the
great bit where she's been kidnapped by the Joker, and she realizes that Batman is coming to rescue her. She sees him behind the Joker in the distance, so she tries to distract him. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Joker, I love purple, which is of course the soundbite that's grabbed by Prince for Bat Dance.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Good. I'm glad you got slides for that, because that is crucial.
We're going to talk about everything, because it's not just about the movie; it's about everything surrounding it. But
guys, we may go long tonight. Boomer, are you working tomorrow?
I am working tomorrow. That's why we may only do Batman tonight. We'll see. We'll see how far we get. Okay, but we could always save returns for another week. Oh, what do you got there? You got the comic.
Next slide.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Next slide.
But I just want to say the movie came out. Movie was a smash. If you haven't seen it, see it. Spoiler alert, though, you're not going to see this version of the Joker again.
I should probably do it over here. Yeah,
but
I've got it. I've got it. Actually, what I have here, you can't see it, but I have the comic adaptation of every one of the movies here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was Batman and Robin better in comic form than it was in the movie?
Yes, and I would say the same is true
they?
of the Superman movies and Supergirl. All the comic book adaptations took the most egregiously bad portions of them and toned them down. For example, the comic book adaptation of Superman 3 very much downplays Gorman's role in it, and makes him a little bit more serious. Takes out all of the what's it called? Who was the actor that played Gorman? Gus Gorman.
I don't remember.
Gus. He was in all the movies with Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder and
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor, thank you, Richard Pryor. All of Richard Pryor's,
yes,
all the stuff that he did that was improv, they took that out. Made him more of a serious character. Made him more of an interesting character, in my opinion.
Thank you, Clue
welcome, Clue Channel. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I'll have to find a way to get you your portion of that. Yes, CluuStudio. I'm sorry. I do the same thing with Gorillas. No. Gorillas Random Thoughts is now become Gorillas Censored Thoughts. You guys change your branding. I forget.
And Outlaw Bill is now.
No. Jedi Bill became Outlaw Bill.
Yeah, I think Logical Spock changes something too, didn't he? But anyway.
Logical Spock became Logical Spark.
Okay, but anyway. I think my brother had picked this up. Were they selling this in the movie theaters along with the movie? Could you buy a copy of this at the concession stand?
I don't know. I don't remember it, but I had gotten this at Valentine's Comics. He would. I'll tell you what. A good comic book store knows if you've got certain comics in your pull list, you might be interested in this. And he'd throw stuff in. And I'd come in and go, yeah, no, I'm not interested in this. But he had this one in my box when I went to pick it up, and I'm like, yes, thank you so much, my friend. Yeah, this was. I'll tell you what, I did a lot of tracings from this comic book. That's kind of how tracing is a great way to learn how to draw, and I learned how to draw Batman specifically from this.
There was a neat thing in the comic book when the Joker's sending all the bills out and people are screaming and grabbing onto the money. Yes, in the comic book, when you see the bills, they got the Joker's face on them, right?
So there is a line where Vicky Vale, who is she realizes she's basically his prisoner at the moment. She's on a date with him. She thinks she's going to meet with Bruce, but she ends up meeting with the Joker, and she's like screwed. But she starts using it as an interview opportunity. And she's like, what is it you actually want? And he flippantly says, my face on the $1 bill.
That's something the Joker would say.
Exactly.
Yes.
What's great is I don't remember what it was he said, and she's like, "Oh, you're joking," and he goes, "Do I look like I'm joking?" Mm-hmm. She's like, "Well, what?"
Geek Flag says, "Did you know Batman '89 premiered on June 23rd?" Yeah, we had the poster earlier.
Yeah, we had the poster up.
I don't remember when I saw it. It was either opening weekend or the following weekend. I know, or maybe during the week. I know I caught it over the summer break, and it was during the hoopla about this movie. I think everybody was excited for this movie.
Yeah, I went to the theater with all my buddies to see it. I think it was Chad and Dale that I went to see it with. I think Otto was already in the Navy at the time, so he wasn't there to see it with us.
I see.
But yeah,
that is a great cover. Look at that.
It is actually kind of brilliant, and it's foreshadowing the last scene of the movie where Joker gets killed, right?
Right, with the gargoyle, though. But I like the gargoyle, and you see Batman standing next to the gargoyle, kind of like he's like the...
Oh, thank you so much, Clue Channel. You know who Clue Channel just...
CluuStudio.
Extended, yes. Yes, see, there's another one that changed his branding, and I forget. Yes. I had actually been gifted a membership to Zax's channel for a month. So I think that's very apropos. Thank you so much, Clue Channel. Super appreciate that. Guys, when you guys gift a membership, you do two things. One, you help us grow the community. Two, you force me to update my closing credits. But that's okay. I appreciate it so much. Make me work. Make me cry that I have to update my my closing credits so often.
Well, you have to update mine because I got
Maria came back.
I have Maria and Mrs. Dad Mad Walking.
Mrs. Dad Man Walking actually already did. You'll see that.
Well, okay then. Yeah, he's my what do you call production assistant?
I am her entire staff. But, well, in fairness, our brands are connected. I do see Netter's Network as an affiliate of Last Call Productions.
Of course.
But anyway, so what was I saying? Yes, so this is very much an allusion to the end scene of Batman. And depicting the Joker.
Nice comic book. Good adaptation, you think?
Excellent. I think it gets you're able to get the basic story. What I was going to say was that whole thing about my face on the $1 bill. That scene that is actually in the comics was in the original script, and it was a deleted scene. There was a scene where Knox catches one of the dollar bills, and he looks and he goes, counterfeit, and they do a close-up on it, and it's Joker's face on the $1 bill.
Probably in the movie it dragged the scene down too much. That might have been what happened.
All the dollar bills he's giving away, right? Hubba, money, who do you trust?
And where is the Batman?
Yeah, me, I'm giving away free money, but the money, if you look at it, is counterfeit. It is, but and that's a great story element, but it was cut from the movie, but it shows up in the comics. This is true of a lot of different comic book adaptations of movies. They're often working from early scripts, so a lot of the scenes that would be like DVD extras, deleted scenes. I don't mean the guy that's in the chat right now, but I mean actual deleted scenes, end up showing up in these comic book adaptations. Same is true for the comic book adaptations of Star Wars. The Biggs Darklighter scenes show up in the comics, as does the Jabba the Hutt scene that was filmed, didn't show up in the original theatrical release, until they did the special editions. That scene was in the comic books. So there you go.
All right. But yeah.
And real quick, I want to say hi to channel member PitsnipeHusker, who says, I don't know, you guys are talking amongst yourselves. So
no,
I
he
just
said he
jumped
had
in the
turned
middle
in
of the
a
conversation.
50-page term paper on Batman in high school. He was mentioning that earlier.
Wow.
I think it drove his teacher nuts.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Glad to hear that.
Anyway, though, let's go to
the soundtracks. There
There
were
you go.
2 soundtracks for this movie.
No, this
One
is
was
the soundtrack.
the score.
Yeah, this
score
is
by Danny Elfman,
which I
but
have a
this
picture
one
of.
is, of course, the pop
The Prince.
the pop soundtrack done by Prince, including songs like the duet with Sheena Easton, "The Arms of Orion," "Bat Dance," which was the big release, which actually samples a bunch of the other songs on here. Prince was actually trying to lobby to become. He wanted to be cast as the Joker. That would have been very interesting.
I could see him as the Joker.
Well, you actually kind of can see him as the Joker, because in the video for Bat Dance, he plays a character named Gemini, which is he's made up as Batman on one side and Joker on the other side.
Cool. But I remember I remember this various Prince songs would play in the movie. I remember the one that was playing when all the big balloons go off. Remember that?
2,000 balloons. Was it?
Yes, it was
2,000 balloons. I don't remember how many thousand balloons.
And it works so well with that scene, because here's an idea. Back then soundtracks were a big deal. They'd release a soundtrack, and this is a soundtrack by a single artist, I think. So that was what was interesting about this soundtrack.
There was one of the other great songs is, and of course, exegesis and eisegesis, right? You got the song that you're hearing as the score, the soundtrack, but they're also you know that the characters in the movie are hearing it too. So Joker and his henchmen come into the art museum, the Gotham Art Museum, and they're defacing all of these different pieces of art. And as they're doing it, one of the goons, it has a big boombox, and the song that's playing is Prince's Party Man. All hail the new kid in town, young and old, gather round. Listen to those lyrics. Black and white, red and green, the funkiest man you've ever seen. They're talking, he's singing obviously about the Joker, which makes it perfect. And this is what they're dancing to. And of course, Jack Nicholson's doing his goofy dance to it and everything. Real quick, I want to say hi to Lester San Jose, the Skeptic Tank. My first exposure to Batman was Adam West. Yes, we did say this earlier on. We will probably do a stream about the Adam West Batman on another time. I thought it was too goofy. Yes, because it wasn't a strict interpretation of Batman. It was, as Adam West has called it, it was a farce. He recognized it as being written as a farce, and that's how he and Burt Ward absolutely played it.
And it's
Batman
funny,
89,
too.
Yeah, when Batman in 89 came out, it was up my alley. I guess I can thank or blame my exposure to martial arts movies. Yeah, I dig that.
What's neat? There's one of the Joker's gang members is a martial artist. He's like some ninja guy. I remember my uncle when he saw. I think we had the VHS and he finally got around to watching Batman. He's like, "Whoa, Batman kicked that kung fu guy's butt." It's like he was all excited.
Well, and they get a little bit more into that in the Christopher Nolan thing, but he was well versed in martial arts, and he studied everything that he possibly could, because his whole life he's obsessed with seeking justice, and in order to do that, he put all of his resources into training himself to better his mind and better his body, fighting techniques, combat techniques, Anyway.
Oh, D. Pensex says Nicholson was instrumental in Prince getting his music in the film. That's interesting.
I did not realize that. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Glad they did, because I've got both soundtracks.
Anything
good
left to
stuff.
say on the Prince soundtrack? Because we can keep talking.
Oh, I could do a whole stream about Prince and this soundtrack in particular. Absolutely. Arms of Orion, I think, was played over the closing credits. It's a love song. It's
the duet between him and Vicky Vale, right? Yes.
Right,
Supposed to be
which of
Batman and Vicky
course
Vale. Yes.
it was Prince and Sheena Easton in the release. Oh my gosh, great song. Great song.
I remember. Big deal. If you were a kid with some money, you would get the CD. I think my friend in elementary school, he got the soundtrack. He had it. He had the Prince CD. He had a CD player. I
actually have two copies of the Prince CD. Just I don't know why. I just do.
One's for safekeeping.
I guess, yeah.
And of course, here's the cover for the actual score, which we had it on these things they used to make called tapes. We had the tape.
Yeah,
version.
I had it. Okay, so that's another good point. I had the cassette tape. I had the CDs, and for the Prince ones, all the released songs, I had the cassette singles. So like I had the cassette single for Arm of Orion, Party Man, all of them. Because on the flip side, they had songs from other albums. B-sides were always, something unique to the single release, just because they wanted you to. Well, I have the album. I don't need to get the single. Yeah, you do, because you want this other song too. So I was a big Prince completist, so I got everything.
So my dad was the big audio video. I'm sorry, the big home stereo type guy, right? And I would play my brother's tape of this on his big stereo, like the old fashioned with the LP and like the tape deck and all, and it would be connected to stereos. He had one of those. So I would listen to this in the living room some nights during the summer.
So
when this movie came out.
I do want to go back to PitsnipeHusker.
Great score.
What he's saying, he saw the old Batman series as kind of a period piece.
Yeah,
I like that. I like the idea of Bruce Wayne being the Golden Age Batman, and this version of Batman being more the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
So if you want to go like Earth 1, Earth 2 kind of a thing.
Right.
From the pre-crisis days, I could totally see that, if for the comic book phase. So the Danny Elfman score. Danny Elfman did the score for Batman, right? Dun, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
He also did the score for the
Spider-Man
TV series for Flash.
Oh, I didn't know that. He wrote the theme for that. Danny Elfman, great composer. He did the main theme.
One of the members of Oingo Boingo, as I recall.
Yes. And I have Oingo Boingo albums, and when you watch Nightmare Before Christmas, because he did the music for that, Jack Skellington is Danny Elfman, or at least when he's singing it, at the very least. Yes.
This is Halloween. Yes.
Love Oingo Boingo, but great score. Just a lot of great memories that summer with this movie. So impactful. And of course, it doesn't end with the summer. We will continue on. Danny Elfman scored Edward Scissorhands, Pee Wee Herman, and others. Yes, he did.
That's true.
He also scored Spider-Man. Remember?
I did feel like Danny Elfman and Tim Burton were very simpatico, right? They went together as well as David Lynch and Angelo Badalamenti. It's like they got each other's crazy.
But I think also he must have gotten along well with Sam Raimi. He did write the main theme, not the entire score for Army of Darkness, but he wrote the main theme for it. So
that makes sense.
And did he do the score for Darkman as well, which was another Sam Raimi movie? Which I should have had a segment in here. I don't want to say the Batman knockoffs, but the movies that came out after Batman that were obviously
definitely influenced directly by Batman.
Maybe we have time
he also did the soundtrack for Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
That's right. But great score. Let's move on to there's the VHS tape. Someone here had mentioned.
I did have that, yeah.
My brother had the VHS. Now, a lot of times you and I talk about how VHS tapes, when they came out, were very expensive. This one, though, I believe was released priced to own. because my brother
Yes.
got it in the fall, which was good because
by
we didn't
late
have.
80s, they were starting to get to the point where VHS was definitely becoming true home media, where you really could go and buy the movie. Yes,
because my brother had gotten this one, and I had we didn't have HBO. So this would have been a problem with me trying to rewatch it on home video, but since we had the VHS, I could just watch the VHS. Not as often because it was my brother, so I could watch whenever I wanted to, but I at least got to see it every now and then. So big fan. Big fan of this VHS tape, and also how the movie was shot. It was done more in that European widescreen, not the scope widescreen. So even though it was pan and scan, it wasn't as bad as like some of these other movies that got cropped. I remember this VHS priced around $18. Yeah, I remember when it came out. I think it came out in November, or
this was the first time it was priced to. Well, not, and I don't know the first, but it was right around this time where
it feels like one of the
VHS
first ones that came out
was
where they were
starting to become priced to own, because prior to that, they were all like $300. They were purchased by like Blockbuster and stuff. You'd rent them, and then you would buy the used copies from Blockbuster. That was the only way you could own.
We did that with Terminator 2.
Yeah,
when that came out. Jesse Corrado says, "Age Boomer, did you guys eat the Batman cereal?" Patience, Jesse. We'll get there.
Yeah, exactly.
We're doing everything. All right, let's move on to now I know what you're saying. Well, this is just the Joker. This was a poster. They were selling posters for this movie, and I distinctly remember this poster being sold. Remember the Jack Nicholson full-on Joker garb?
I do. Yes,
you could hang it on your wall. Snazzy, because the Joker was as popular as Batman for buying paraphernalia for, and the Batmobile, anything Batmobile related. That was the other big thing.
Right.
I had the Nintendo cereal too, Lester. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the figures.
Okay, so let me explain. So here's what happened. Up to 1989, DC Comics had licensed with Kenner of Star Wars action figure fame, putting out the Superpowers collection. So they were 3 3/4-inch action figures of all of your DC Comics characters in their comic books appearance, right? So the Batman that came out of that was the blue and gray, right? They all had these really wild action features. You'd squeeze the legs, and Batman and Robin and Superman would, their arms would do this for punching, right? Different thing with Wonder Woman. You'd squeeze her legs together, and her hands would do this to block bullets, right, with her bracelets. There's a great video over on Analog Toys. He just recently picked up the Lex Luthor figure, Lex Luthor in his Lexor armor, where his action feature, you squeeze the legs and his hand does like a karate chop type of thing. But if you take the chest piece off, there's a little button in the back that gets depressed, and his arm is weak. The play feature isn't as strong. It's an interesting, kind of headcanon-y, element there. Anyway, the Flash, you'd squeeze his arms and his legs would run. Same thing with Aquaman. You squeeze his arms and his legs would kick, So anyway, they all had these play features. They had great figures. Actually, who else has some great videos about that? Michael French over at Retro Blasting. But Kenner had lost the license, and it was picked up by a more upstart company called Toy Biz. And they actually used, well, no, they didn't. They didn't reuse the molds, but they made them all in the same scale. So this Batman was in the same scale as the Batman from the Superpowers collection, but not as well sculpted. And the play features of it were weird. So this is the Batman figure. He did have the grapple gun, which was neat, but the grapple gun was just a static gun, just like a Stormtrooper blaster, right? his play feature was his belt was on a winch. You could pull it out. It was spring loaded, and you could hang it on something, and it would pull Batman up to it. It was kind of dumb in a lot of ways.
I had this figure.
I did too. Yeah.
For whatever reason, when I was growing up, I loved the Star Wars figures, and then I kind of got off Star Wars after Jedi came out, and I bought Indiana Jones figures, and then I was looking for like another really cool action figure line. In retrospect, I should have given G.I. Joe a chance. I think I could have gotten into G.I. Joe. But then Batman comes out, and I'm like, this is perfect. You could do so much with Batman. Not just the stuff from the movie. You had other villains from the comics. You could, and what do? They just, these were lacking. And I was in denial of this when I was getting these figures. Let's move on.
I was okay. I was able to forgive the multitude of sins of these figures because they were in scale with the Superpowers figures, and I was like, there's play value there.
That's fine, but I didn't
Here's
have
the
those
Joker.
figures.
His play feature was that
squirting flour.
Yeah, and you'd fill a little bulb with water, and it would squirt out of the flour on his chest. Yeah.
And in retrospective, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention. This is not the Nicholson Joker, is it? I think it's colored like the one from the movie. But is this really the Joker?
None of these figures looked like they did not have the likeness of the actors because they didn't want to pay for the license for those actors.
But are the costumes even right? Like, is this the Nicholson costume at least?
This one is not. A later version of it was.
I think you're right. I think I didn't get that version. Did it come with a top hat too?
That one did not come with a top hat. That one had a play feature in which cold and hot water would change the face from flesh tone to white.
I hate to say this. This might have been like my last hurrah for action figures before I got into video games, because this is just because I got the Nintendo that Christmas. And I think even that Christmas, I got some more Batman figures. Like, I think Mr. Freeze was a Christmas present. I remember getting him because I had purchased some of these Batman figures. I think that was on my list. I wanted more of these Batman figures because I was just so enamored with this movie. I was wanting like sets. And it's like, where are the sets, man? Did they make a Wayne Manor? I seem to recall.
They did make a Wayne Manor, and Michael French has a video of it. You should go check that out.
I will have to check that out. But yeah, it's just, and then you have, there you go. There's Bob the Goon, which, and of course I bought all three of these. I think I started with Batman, then I might have gotten Batman and the Joker together with my allowance money. I think I got Bob the Goon later on, or did I get Bob the Goon first because the Joker was hard to find? Because I think everybody was buying up the Joker, and it's probably one of these things.
Probably true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, this is just. And I got the other figures. I got the Penguin. Little did I know that, like you said, these are what.
Well, you're getting a little ahead of yourself. Keep in mind that the Penguin didn't come out until Batman Returns.
No. There was a Penguin release with these figures, but it was the one that I believe was from those Superpower sets.
Yeah, all they did was they reused the mold. Actually, Michael French has a video about the Penguin figures as well, so check that out. Yeah. Later tomorrow, I will have the links to all the videos we're talking about from Analog Toys and Retro Blasting.
I feel this was a missed opportunity, but you're more of the toy connoisseur. Am I being unfair? What did you think of these figures?
They were weak sauce, but they benefited from the fact that they were in scale with the Superpowers, and they were immediately followed up by after, and I'm getting ahead of ourselves here, but after the Batman run, and they did all the movies for all the toys for Batman. Batman Returns, the rights reverted back to Kenner.
Kenner, yes. We'll get to that when we get
to So you were able to get some of these figures in a new sculpt that were much, much better.
Okay, so probably by then, though, I was done with the action figures because I only had so much money. Clue Channel, Batman Returns for the SNES, but we're not going to talk about that just yet. Maybe not even tonight, but we'll get to it at some point. It's an important game.
Yeah.
What
Oh
where am
wow,
I?
I'm way behind on the chat has not advanced on me.
Well,
So
watch.
I'm way
Well, go
behind.
look at them. It's okay. We have a minute.
Sorry about
I
that.
don't think we're
Very
getting to
nice.
Batman Returns tonight, but we'll
Probably
save
not.
that
That's
for
fine.
another week. All right.
That's fine.
If we have time, we'll talk about the follow-up movies that came
Yeah.
after this. There was a slew of them, which I should have put in this presentation. I didn't think of it at the time.
Fair enough.
But okay. Anything you missed? I see a lot of. Is that bat symbols? I see.
Yep, a bunch of bats from Jesse Guajardo. Thank you, my friend.
I love this, but where am I now? Oh, there's the
So
Batmobile.
there were 2 iterations of the Batmobile.
Mm-hmm. I think I
one,
had one of these.
So, oh my gosh, I think this might actually be the McFarlane version.
Oh, did I put the wrong one on here? I'm sorry.
No, that's fine because
Okay.
it's very easy to get confused by the multiple versions. The original version that was put out, and I can't remember now if it was Toy Biz or Kenner, didn't have a canopy. It didn't have a top over it.
Okay.
We didn't get that until McFarlane Toys put this out, and it's got a removable canopy to be able to put the figures into.
I want to think that I had a remote one. Did they release a remote control one? Maybe attached with
I have no
wires
idea.
to
That
remote?
I don't know.
I
That one
don't
I don't
remember.
know.
I know I had a die-cast one. That was not
Yeah.
like a Hot Wheel size. It was a little larger, but I had that. In fact, I think I have a picture.
I actually would love to get this McFarlane version. Unfortunately, it's no longer in production and so very, very expensive on the secondary market now. Very, very sad. And don't even get me started on... I was just saying that you could forgive a lot of sins of the Toy Biz figures because they were in scale with the Superpowers figures. McFarlane Toys comes along, starts putting out Superpowers figures in a larger scale. So great. He's putting out the figures that we never got back in the 80s and 90s. Some of the ones that were too rare to pick up or not available in the United States, but they're not in scale with the Superpowers collection we had. So he's never going to get around to putting out all of those in his scale. And the ones he's putting out are not in scale with the ones you already have. So fuck you, Todd McFarlane.
Yes. This is not what I had, but it was similar to the one I had. I had a die-cast Batmobile.
I probably had the same one you did. Yeah, I didn't have this one.
It was neat. Even though it was just the Batmobile, I thought the Batmobile was the coolest. I don't remember if I had a Batwing or not, a die-cast Batwing, but I thought those.
I did not have that. No, I had the Kenner. Or, I can't remember if it was Kenner or Toy Biz. Batwing. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's see. Moving right along, we have the Taco Bell tie-in. Did you know anything about this?
I was aware of it. I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in any of these plastic cups. I didn't like them. I grew up in the 70s and 80s where everything was the glasses. So I'd go and get the 4 glasses, one a week for whatever tie-in it was. I had all the Star Wars, the Empire, the Jedi glasses. But no, I did not bother with these. What were those? The cinnamon crispas. I used to like those.
What are those?
Oh, yeah,
Are they
those.
Yeah.
What are they? Do they still sell this?
They started out. Taco Bell used to do like they'd cut tortilla chips and fry them and then dip them in cinnamon sugar, and then they started. Then they got away from using tortilla chips and they started using some sort of like a fried bread kind of thing.
Because you can get those in Mexican restaurants.
Sure.
I've gotten that dessert, and usually has whipped cream on it. Yeah,
they're kind of a nod to churros. They're not really churros, but they're like a nod to that. Yeah.
But yeah. Well, Spin Masters is remaking all the movie Batman toys, says Jesse Guajardo. Well, that's interesting.
Thank you for letting me know about that. I'm going to have to look into that.
That might be interesting.
In fact, let me open a tab right now.
No, there goes my next paycheck.
Well, I got to see what it actually is.
He's just looking, Netter. He's not committing. But
are they actually in scale? They look a little chonky, I gotta say.
Is there a Vicky Vale?
Well, I'm looking right now on Instagram, and I'm seeing the Batman, Robin, Riddler, and Two-Face from Batman Forever with that particular Batmobile.
Do you remember the DC Superheroes role-playing game?
I have it, yes.
There was a module for one of them. I think it was a Batman module, and it has the Joker on the front. And I think it's like, instead of Wheel of Fortune, it's like the Wheel of Misfortune, and Batman standing there, and Vicky Vale is attached to it. Yes, I remember that.
Yes. Okay, so now I'm looking at Spin Master, and I'm kind of scrolling through, and they've got like all different scales. I'm going to have to do a deep dive on this, I think. They've got 4-inch, they've got 12-inch, they've got all different sizes. I'm going to have to look into this.
Okay, cool beans. All right. Are we ready for the big one?
Yeah.
Let's move along to... Oh, what is that?
Oh, Batman cereal. I did get this. That Batman cereal was the same as C-3PO cereal, and
no,
what was it was
Mr. T maybe.
Mr. T cereal.
3PO I think was like a
Donkey Kong cereal. They were all this generic, crunchy kind of peanut butterish, kind of flavor. Yeah,
I loved this cereal. I may be the only one. I actually thought it was good. Maybe you didn't wasn't to your taste, but
I was not a sugared cereal kind of guy, but I did get these. Yeah. I did kind of enjoy them as a snack. But honestly, every time there's a movie tie-in cereal, it's the same cereal, just in a different shape.
They were shaped like bat wings. Or batarangs.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least they were whatever thing that was... probably something else on another cereal, and they told you it was a batarang.
I'll be honest, Clue, my mom was the same way. Honestly, my favorite cereals, 3 favorite cereals: Cheerios, Rice Krispies, and Rice Chex. Occasionally Wheaties.
Look, man,
I was not a big sugar cereal guy.
It was just important that Batman become part of your balanced breakfast. Can I just say that the wording on Batman, the big capital letters with the gold outline and the black in the middle, perfect. I love it.
It is kind of cool. Yeah.
Everything about this was a promoting dream. Whoever did the promotions for this movie,
I agree.
And that bat symbol.
There were T-shirts, posters, not to mention the toys and cereals, lunch boxes. It was on everything.
This was the coolest thing in the summer of '89. And keep in mind, the summer came off strong with indie. I know we've done this. Check out a prior stream to see summer of '89. But Life is still my favorite cereal. Okay.
Honestly, I've never had Life cereal. I know of it. I never had it myself.
Okay.
You've never had Life cereal?
I never did. No.
Look at that.
Nintendo Power. Yeah. Did they have a good Nintendo game for Batman?
Dude, now here I have to educate you. Okay.
Yes, you do.
This is...
Because there wasn't an Atari game for Batman.
There actually was, and I'm going to get into that.
Oh, was there? Okay.
There was an Atari-made Batman game. It was in the arcades. I'm going to get to it.
Oh, okay.
This is Nintendo Power. Of course, we got a Nintendo in Christmas of '89. We were kind of late adopters. But not long after that comes out this Batman game, and I see it on the cover. And like I said, you can kind of blame this maybe for the fact that I moved from action figures and Legos into video games. Let's get into this. This is the Batman, the video game. Look at that box art. Come on. It's simple, bat symbol.
Is this the one where he jumps up and down layers and punches, side scroller?
I think so, yes. Okay. I think that's the one you're thinking of. Okay. This, I really wish, Warner Brothers, you feel like making money? I know that's this weird concept to you. Please do a Sunsoft Batman collection. There are at least 6 games you could put on that collection. 2 of them are based on the comic book. That was Batman Return of the Joker. That was based more on the Batman comic book. But then you also have the Batman movie game. So that's what I'm talking about here. So this is Batman for the NES. I even have a Wikipedia on it, too. I'll read a bit from it. you turn it on and it does the duh. It doesn't have the Elfman score. There is no Elfman score for this.
Oh, gotcha.
But whoever they got to write the score for this game was brilliant. In fact, I think I have his name here. Hold on. Who wrote the score? Give me a moment. Composer. Two composers, Naoki Kodaka and Nobuyuki Hara. So this was made in Japan. This is a Sunsoft. It was a Japanese game company. They were famous for making games like Blaster Master for the NES. They also made, I think they made a really good version of Spy Hunter, which I think was a Midway arcade game. They also did... they were originally going to do a Terminator game, which they lost the rights to, so they just released it without the Terminator.
Okay, so I just, in another tab, I opened up the title screen for it. And I'm like, dun, 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 dun. This is a pretty, well, it's pretty chonky because it's low bit, but it's not bad.
For those of you who didn't grow up with the NES. Anyway, the point is, though, it feels like Batman music, even if it isn't the Elfman score. And I give him full points for that. This is a weird game. Look at the graphics were pretty good. Look at that.
Graphics were actually really good for the time. Yeah, that's not bad.
And this is a cutscene that lays off. They did get the rights to use the likenesses of Basinger, I think, or they at least faked it. They have the likenesses to Keaton and Jack Nicholson in this game. His Batman and Joker pop up in cutscenes. Here's a level layout. Very dark backgrounds. You'll notice Batman has to look a little brighter than the backgrounds because you have
a little bit blue and purple. Yeah. Well, see, this was something that I learned about colorizing or coloring in comics when Spider-Man put on, when he went to the black costume. Very, all the costumes are usually like colorful with black lines,
right,
designating demarcations, outlines, so to speak, right? Well, if you've got a black outfit, how do you do that? You got to use white lines to show the demarcations, which is a lot of ink and much more difficult. So I kind of get that here.
Joe's Atmosphere sent you a super chat.
Oh, yes, he did. Thank you so much, my friend. My first roommate and I went to see Batman 89 3 times on opening day. So you saw it 2, 4, 6 hours in a day. That's, but I get you. I did the same kind of thing. And we got a gifted membership from Clue Channel. Thank you so much. CluuStudio, right. I keep doing that.
In front of you, just read the words.
I know. Well, I'm a little fuzzy right now.
Yes.
You were doing it when you weren't fuzzy.
I know. The Potawatomi is the one that received that. Thank you so much.
I don't know who asked it. Someone was asking, is this an NES game? Yes, this is an NES game, original Nintendo. A Nintendo Entertainment System, the most popular console at that time. Let me read a bit from this. This is from Wikipedia. The game has a feature that was unusual in side-scrolling platform games at the time, largely to the NES itself. Unlike Sunsoft's Batman game for the Mega Drive / Sega Genesis, which features a grappling hook, Batman has the ability to do a wall jump. He's able to use 3 projectile weapons, the Batarang, Bat Disc, and Bat Poon, which are powered by pellet cartridges. Though officially,
that is a terrible name. I understand what they're getting at, the Bat Harpoon gun. They're calling it Bat Poon. I mean, that's... Catwoman and Vicky Vale have the market on the Bat Poon. Let me just say
one of my favorite NES games is an acronym for Special Cybernetic Attack Team, a.k.a. SCAT. So... Anyway.
Think it through, folks. Think it through.
Okay, though officially tied to the 1989 film, the plot of the game bears very little resemblance. The stages in the game consists of Gotham City streets, Axis Chemical Plant, Gotham Sewers, Mysterious Laboratory, and Gotham Cathedral Bell Tower. A number of notable DC Universe villains appear as low-level minions of the game, including Deadshot, KG Beast, Maxi Zeus, Heatwave, Shakedown, and Night Slayer. The bosses in the game are Killer Moth, a device known as the Machine Intelligence System, the Electrocutioner, a machine known as the Dual Container Alarm, Firebug, and the Joker. The penultimate boss would be skipped in the continuity if the player reached the Joker previously, so the player can directly fight the Joker the next time. That means when you beat the game, you can play it all over again on a harder difficulty.
Some
But
of those villains are deep dive comic books. Netter, what were you going to say?
While we are correcting names,
Uh-huh.
you're saying PitsnipeHusker. It's PitsnipeHusker. No R in snipe.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry, my friend. I apologize.
Anyway.
Deleted says demonetized.
What, for the Poon? Yeah, probably.
The prototype version of the game had some significant differences, such as one-up icon and entirely different cutscenes. Originally, the game's final boss was Firebug, and there was no Joker boss. Instead, Batman is shown defeating the Joker in the ending sequence. The art and dialogue were changed from the prototype to the final version to better reflect the look and events from the film. So part of me thinks that they got the rights to do this game and were busily making it before the movie came out, and maybe didn't know what the movie was about.
Possibly, yeah. Which
there's
also explains why a lot of the villains come from the comics.
The comic book. Sense. When you fight the Joker, at the end, he commands lightning to come down from the ceiling on you. It's rather neat. Okay.
Why not? Why not? Welcome, Real Wade Nation Gaming.
Look at that. These are I think that's one of the bosses. I think that might be Killer Moth.
Killer Moth, yeah.
It's one or the other, yeah. And let's see. Those are mutants you fight in the sewer, because why not?
They may or may not have had the rights to do Killer Croc, so sure, why not?
It's just ridiculous. So yeah, that's Batman for the NES. Look at this. Read that.
That's a scene from the movie. I know you murdered my parents. Now you will dance with the devil in the pale moonlight.
The thing after this is you see him knocking it, and then you see like a little Joker character fly off the cathedral, because in the game he just throws him off the cathedral.
Why not? Why not?
It's so
it's interesting because although the Batman is responsible for the death of Joker, he wasn't trying to kill him.
No,
he was just trying to keep him from escaping.
I know people interpret the scene in Axis differently too. I think he was trying to pull him up.
Absolutely, yes. He was. Yes.
Except he just lost the grip because he didn't have a good grip on him to begin with. And of course, the Joker blamed him, but the Joker
Somebody correct me, but throughout the first movie, I don't think he actually goes out of his way to kill anybody.
No.
Every one of the villains that gets killed is basically because of some stupid thing they did. There's one guy I remember, he does this flip, karate thing, and falls through the floor and falls to his death.
I love that's in the bell tower, right? I think.
And Batman's like, the hell? Batman didn't even have anything to do with that one.
All right. But you could, the years later, Nika released an action figure you could buy based on this version of Batman.
That's interesting.
Isn't that funny? It's the color scheme from the game.
Sure.
I always imagined that was the light reflecting off the character. That's where you can see him. Because if he's all black, you're not going to be able to see him in the game.
Yeah. Well, look at his skin. His skin is blue. That's obviously meant to be like a reflection,
like
highlight, shadow type of thing. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So let's go to... we're not done. This is Batman for the Sega Genesis.
Okay.
This was the 60-bit console.
Is it a port?
Good question. Nintendo used to have this rule, because Nintendo were little tyrants back in the day. You better not ever bring out an NES game on a competing platform. So what is Sunsoft to do? Well, we'll just make a completely new Batman game for the Sega Genesis. This one, unlike the NES game, actually follows the movie.
Interesting.
Look at this lengthy cutscene in the beginning. Again,
because of their differences, Grissom sets up Jack Napier by notifying the police that there is a break-in at Axis Chemical Factory. Well, yeah, the difference is they both saw themselves as getting it on with the same girl. Batman arrived on the scene to help police apprehend Napier. As Napier tries to escape, he accidentally falls into a vat of liquid waste. The Cape Crusader departs, and Napier is nowhere to be found. Still alive, Jack's appearance has been altered dramatically. His flesh was bleached bone white, hair colored green.
And then it goes on like his lips puckered. Yeah. It does all these things.
See, this is something I was about to get at before. You know, the smile that he ends up with is because the bullet, you know, goes through his cheeks, and he's got scars that pull his face up into
which
a grin
I believe that the surgeon was trying to fix, but it still ended up in that grin.
In the comics, the same chemical that turns his face white puckers his skin and pulls it into a smile. And when he goes and researches the chemicals that did this to him, he finds a toxic version that he is able to, and it's the same chemical that is depicted in the movie that he kills people with, that also causes the tightening of the muscles, the rigor mortis, that pulls it into a death smile.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Now, if you look at this game, if you can see it, Batman is now in the black garb. But I think that the backgrounds are a bit brighter. He's hitting punks. By the way, again, they didn't have the Elfman score, but they also wrote another great score for this game, which still feels like a Batman score. And oddly enough, it was written by the same guy that made the NES music. But it's a completely different. Now they're using the 16-bit sound chip of the Genesis. I recommend you listen to it sometime. It's very cool.
I'll check it out.
And this actually follows the movie. Like the bosses he fights are parts of the Joker's goon gang. You know, like one of the guys was remember the guy with the knives and the voo voo voo. You know, he has the knives. Yeah. He's one of the bosses you fight. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So it actually follows. In fact, there's even the scene at the Axis Chemical Plant where you fight Jack Napier as one of the bosses. Then it ends with him falling into the vat of chemicals. Isn't that neat? But,
this is the game I was thinking of. Actually, I've seen this. I've never played it, but I've seen it.
This is the Sega Genesis version. Very good game. If you're a Sega fan, back in the day, you got a really cool Batman game on your console. Nothing but good things to say. There were even Batmobile and Batwing stages. The Batwing stages, you would actually shoot at those, what do you call it? Those balloons, yeah.
Sure.
But I think that was the boss I was telling you about with the knives. See, he's going back and forth.
Yep.
And you had to kind of jump out of his way and then kick him in the back. That's what I would do. And there's the Batwing stage.
There's the Batwing, yeah.
It's really neat. So cool 16-bit game. And keep in mind, for me, this was the year right the summer before the Super Nintendo came out, because these games came out later. The NES game didn't come out until the following spring. It was not a movie tie-in release because they had to take their time with these games. This one, I think, came out the summer of 1990. So it was really cool to see this Batman game, like this officially licensed Batman game made by the same people that made the NES game, on a competing system from Nintendo. It's like, wow, Sega's actually moving up in the world. They're getting some really cool exclusive titles. Yep. I think Spider-Man for the Genesis came out that summer too. There's the final boss with the Joker on top.
There you go, Joker on top of the cathedral. Yeah.
And then this follows the movie more closely, where he just kind of slips out. He kind of slips down because of the thing, instead of having Batman knock him off like in the NES game. Sunsoft made another Batman game. I didn't know too much about this. I did have a Game Boy at the time of this release. But keep in mind that back in the day, you would go into the store wanting the new game that you saw in the magazine, and it was never on the shelf. And then you would use your allowance money to buy Solar Striker.
Right.
And then you'd be yelling at yourself later, or Sword of Hope, or any of these other Game Boy games that I didn't want because I wanted Batman. But you have the money and it's not there on the shelf. You're going to buy something, right?
My stepson had this game, so I got to see it, at least in play. Yeah.
So look at this. This is and what does Batman have in this game? He has a gun.
Right.
I'm sure it's a batarang projectile with bullet-sized batarangs. I'm sorry.
It's a Batpoon.
Yeah. So this was the Game Boy game. I didn't get this till years and years later, a used copy, because I just, you only have so much money when you're a kid. But it did come out on the Game Boy, so this is the third Sunsoft Batman game based on the movie. There is a fourth Sunsoft Batman game few people know of, and this was released on the PC Engine in Japan, known as the TurboGrafx 16 here in North America. This was another 16-bit system. And it's funny because this guy that runs a channel called Turbo Views, where he reviews the old games, he was getting so excited about this game because he saw the cutscenes, and he was thinking this was going to be like a 16-bit version of the NES game, right? It was going to be better graphics, better colors. And instead it was like this overhead, like Bomberman type game where like you'd have to do different tasks,
Oh
almost like
my
an action puzzle
gosh.
game.
God.
But it's not bad. He said it's not, for what it is, it's pretty good, but it was not like these action
That's
side scrollers like the others were. It's like they turned it into a Bomberman game. But like you would stun the bad guys with your batarang, and then when you walked into them, they would fly off the screen.
Sure.
So, but in fact, there's a scene with the museum where what you have to do in the museum is you have to actually clean off the paintings after the Joker douses them. You then
Yeah,
have,
yeah,
like,
because I remember that gripping action sequence where after rescuing Vicky Vale, on the zip line, he goes back in with a pail and soap and water and starts scrubbing the paintings down. Yeah.
off. Well, think about it though. What Sunsoft did here, they released 4 distinct Batman games, and think about it. If you're rich and have more than one console, or maybe all of them, you would go and buy
to
all
come
of
up with a completely different game for each different console. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you could have 4 different versions of the Batman movie game, which is pretty good. Looks like a first Ninja Turtles NES game.
What I'd love to see is a port that kind of incorporates all of them together. That would be kind of neat.
I would love to see a collection get
That'd be cool.
because they had these 4 games. Sunsoft still retained the Batman license a little while longer, and they made a game called Batman Return of the Joker. And I keep thinking, what did they do? A sequel to the movie where the Joker survived? Not exactly. I think it uses some elements from the movie, like the Batwing looks like the one from the movie, but it's actually the current Batman of the comic era where he's in the blue and gray. And
makes sense.
It's sort of a sequel, but not really, because it's really based on the comic book Batman at the time. And then right afterwards, other companies got the rights when Batman Returns came out, but we'll get into that another time. This is not the only Batman 89 game, though. There's 2 more. The Atari arcade game. Atari had the rights to make a Batman arcade game.
I don't think I knew this one. I don't think I ever saw this one.
I was in an arcade once and I saw it. I played it. It was rather neat.
Was it?
I'm not saying it was as good as the Genesis game, but there were neat little graphical effects. Like you were going around these side-scrolling levels, all sorts of gangsters shooting at each other, and even inside the windows you would see like sinister stuff going on, even in the background of the windows. There was a lot of cool little details. I think this also, they didn't have the music rights, but they had the rights to use sound samples from the movie, so you'd get to hear like, wait till they get a load of me and stuff in the arcade game.
Yeah.
So kind of a neat game. Only ever released in arcades, though. I've never seen it anywhere else. Again, they didn't port it to any systems for some reason. And then we have the Amiga game. Wow. You know the Commodore Amiga?
I know of it. I didn't have the Amiga, but yeah.
This was the 16-bit PC they released afterwards, and look at those graphics, huh?
Those are much better graphics, yeah. Absolutely.
I remember the Amiga wowed me back in the day. This was used to sell the Amiga in Europe. They made an exclusive side-scrolling Batman game.
I can imagine, yeah.
And this was, they had a bundle which came with this game, and this was a major selling point of the Amiga in Europe. They were just, they were packaging it. Oh wait, that's the pinball.
I did have the I did play the pinball game. They had that briefly on university at my university. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, there we go. And this is the pinball game with Kim Basinger and Jack Nicholson. There's Batman. So rather cool.
Honestly, the gameplay for these different pinball games was not anything, extravagant. It was the artwork that was really cool about these games.
Sometimes these pinball games got really neat. Remember the Star Trek The Next Generation pinball machine? That was a neat one.
I don't remember that one, no.
I have they used to release this thing for the PlayStation 3. You could get like Pinball Classics, and you could download tables for like a couple bucks. You get like an exclusive table. And I got the Star Trek TNG table. And like at some point in the screen, like the LCD screen would light up and says, "Captain," you hear Data saying, "Captain, it is the Borg." And like you see a Borg cube show up on the LCD.
Right.
And like the Romulans were on it too, and other things. But yeah, it was a neat little pinball machine. I never got a chance to try out. I did play this in an arcade once. They had a Doctor Who pinball machine once too. But broke my arm playing baseball in '88, so my mom paid out for an Atari 2600. that we played
Yep.
on my 13-inch black and white. Do you remember the Atari 2600, how it would have a switch in the back to select between
Yep.
color and black and white?
Yep. Yes, I do.
There's another neat thing about the original NES, the NES Batman. Apparently, the color scaling, the way the color was done in NES games was done in such a way where I think if you played it on a black and white TV, it would adapt it to the black and white TV. I've
Interesting.
never actually tried trying out these NES games in black and white, but apparently it would do the colors okay in black and white. Like there was like something in the way they did the colors that would allow it to be played on a black and white TV.
That's
So
pretty
that
cool.
was neat. This is it. Did I miss anything about Batman?
I don't think so. Most of the things I would want to get into probably can wait until, like I said, the rights reverted for the action figures reverted to Kenner.
We're going to get to that
for
with Batman Returns.
We'll get that next time. I think we just go with next week. Next week.
We'll do next week for Batman Returns, and then we'll start with, and we'll go with Doctor Who.
I think that's the way to go. Yeah.
So this will be a to be continued, and maybe if I have time, maybe I'll try to add a little slideshow for the. Well, I don't know if we have time, or maybe you want to talk about it now. Remember all the Batman knockoff movies that came out? I'm not going to call them knockoffs. That's unkind.
Well,
Dick
are you
Tracy
thinking
comes
about
out.
things like
Dick Tracy?
Dick Tracy,
Which I think is a great movie, but it came out like a year
Dark
Man.
Dark Man, that's what it was. Yeah, with Liam Neeson. Yeah.
Oh, Dark Man, and which was Sam Raimi again, and Danny Elfman, I believe, did the score for that as well.
I think you're right.
And I remember a friend in high school was like, "You saw Dark Man? It's like Batman all over again." It's like, oh, he's telling his girlfriend, "Oh, I'm the darkness" or whatever.
We'll talk about this more probably next week, but Batman '89 was so successful that every superhero movie that came after it, they wanted to follow the same formula.
Yep.
And that's how you end up with all these, in quotes, dark, gritty superheroes that should not be. They are not Batman. Not every superhero is Batman.
The Shadow.
Right.
I think that was a follow-up too.
The worst was when they finally got to the Snyder Superman and they're trying to make him into Batman. It's like, no, this doesn't work. This is not what Batman is, or this is not what Superman is. You could do that with Batman. You can't do that with Superman.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I think that's what the execs said. Make it like Superman, but he flies. I think that's what they said. I'm telling you, Troy manages some MeWe pages. I posted a video about the current state of Warner Brothers game development. I can't get the guy credit right now. I don't remember his name, but it's a wonderful video where he basically goes into, I think, a lot of the problems that exist, not just in the game division of Warner Brothers in general. And I have a very bad feeling about their plans for the future of DC, but we'll see. They got this new Superman.
So
100
Clue
different
points out
characters in it.
Superman is the opposite of dark. It's really true. I've heard it compared to Batman. Gotham City is New York at night.
Yeah.
And Metropolis is New York during the day.
What was cool about Superman the animated series is they kind of leaned into a lot of the science fiction aspect of Superman on that show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they leaned
into that.
It is a
science fiction story,
yes.
And Batman is a noir story. That's how you really should conceptualize it.
With some elements of horror, because you have some of the villains that are like something out of a horror movie. Like Clayface.
Yeah, I guess I'm understanding the whole idea of Clayface as body horror. I guess I kind of see that.
Yeah.
Killer Croc is probably another example of that. So.
Oh, I loved Killer Croc on the animated series. He was not smart.
Right.
There's this wonderful scene where he ends up. There were some people who used to be part of a circus freak show, and he ends up on the run. So they help him out because they think he's been abused because he looked different. That's why society's and he kind of plays that up. And of course, eventually he tries robbing them. And what's horrible about this is if this had been the Penguin the Penguin actually would have hung out with this group and maybe even stayed with them and been part of their little family. But
Right.
Killer Croc's not that way. He's the guy who would betray them, But,
Exactly. Yeah.
But I do miss this era for DC. This was when things were exciting. And
We
someone
got
had
a
mentioned,
gorilla raid from Gorilla's Censored Thoughts. Thank you so much.
welcome.
Channel member Gorilla's Censored Thoughts. Thank you so much for being here. We are kind of wrapping it up, so you might want to go back and
I think I'm just going to make this my avatar from now on. We'll just have Kim Basinger. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Married Alec Baldwin. Why? Oh. Anyway, what was I saying though a minute ago? But yeah, there was nothing like it at that time. This was, and someone had mentioned earlier about a Batman annual that came out that gave the origin of Two-Face. I had that annual. That was Secret Origins, and it did the origin of Two-Face, the origin of the Penguin, and the origin of the Riddler. They did the Penguin's origin, which was interesting. It was about how he was bullied by this guy named Sharky, and his mom, made him bring the umbrella to school because his dad had died of pneumonia. Remember that? And
right.
how he got bullied, and eventually how he worked out and beat the crap out of this guy named Sharky and knocked his teeth out. That's why he ended up getting the shark's teeth, the sharp teeth in his mouth. But
Interesting.
And then they did the Riddler origin, which was completely nonsensical because they couldn't, because they interviewed the Riddler to get his origin. He was just talking nonsense throughout the entire interview,
Yeah.
And then they did the one for Two-Face as well. I think they talked to Harvey Dent's wife or his
yeah.
And asked him about the origin. So it was an interesting little issue. And you got the impression that, are these origins really canon, or are these just being filtered through the villain's point of view or something? You know what I mean? But
you got to remember the villains are not going to be reliable narrators.
It was a good little comic book, though. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah. But and this was Batmania in 1989.
So this is another thing. This picture here, Bruce Wayne in the turtleneck. They did an action figure of that. I don't think it came out until the Batman Returns era.
Yes,
but it was the Michael Keaton, just like that, with the turtleneck and whatnot, and it had like the armor you could clip on it to make him Batman in the cowl that would pull over the head.
Cool.
I've got that somewhere too.
Very neat.
So there you go.
But yeah, there we go. And there's Batman.
Yep.
Classic movie. I may rewatch it again this weekend. Maybe I'll try to pick it up.
I love this movie. It really is good. It really is good.
I think I like Batman Returns more, but I think this might be a better movie, if that makes any sense.
I agree with you.
Okay,
I agree with you. But when we get to next week, I will talk about how Batman Returns had great ideas, but tried to squeeze too much into a movie, and that set a trend for all the rest of the movies.
Yes.
Adding extra characters each movie to the point that none of the characters got significant development. You could have gotten 2 movies out of Batman Returns by splitting up Penguin and Catwoman, and having Shrek, kind of span the 2 movies.
Yeah, probably. I think that's what they're doing with the books too. I think they have Max Shrek in there in the background as well.
Good. I'm going to have to read that book. I'm looking forward to that.
But
Shrek, I'm thinking the big green ogre.
No. I meant Max Shrek. Shrek. Yeah.
I forgot to mention another ancillary character. I forgot to mention. Remember, he wasn't in here. He was only in the beginning. Remember, Detective Eckert. Kind of a
think about the future. Yeah.
This is something that Tim Burton, whoever the writer was, did, which I thought was very smart. Who does he remind you of? He reminds you of Detective Bullock. But Detective Bullock, for all his flaws, he is still a cop. He's still a good guy of justice.
He's still a good guy, absolutely.
Eckert isn't. So we're not going to take Bullock and then turn him into a bad guy. We're just going to create another character that has some of his same characteristics and call him something else. And that way you can have your corrupt cop and then have him get killed. Unlike Batman versus Superman that has Jimmy Olsen, where I think Jimmy Olsen, correct me if I'm wrong, was a villain working for the bad side and gets killed?
No, he plays a special forces guy that ends up getting killed, working undercover and gets killed.
Stupid.
But in the
Have it
edit
someone
that was
else.
released, you didn't know it was Jimmy Olsen. It was an Easter egg kind of thing. It was.
Dumb.
Don't even get me started on the whole Snyderverse. that was a cluster frack that I don't think is going to be improved when James Gunn starts getting his shit out.
We'll find out this summer. I believe it's the second week in July.
I'll be relying on the bigger channels that feel that they must do reviews on it to review it, because I'm not going to go give Warner Brothers.
It's going to be very telling how the movie is, but also how it performs, because those are two different things.
We'll see. We'll see.
I heard there was another test screening that didn't go so well for that, but
not surprised. We'll probably talk about a lot of that stuff on Sunday for Geeky Geezers, starting at 8 Central, 9 Eastern on this guy's channel.
We got a few things talking about that night, especially the Warner Game Division losing a ton of money, and
Warner Brothers is hurting. They are in serious trouble. They got to get their heads out of their collective asses, or they will go bankrupt.
A new Terminator video game coming out that actually has me intrigued. We'll talk about that.
We'll look into that too.
Yeah, so it's going to be.
But before then, I did mention tomorrow night on Big Al Presents Films with Friends, special guest host Evelyn Hampton for The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, 9 Central,
very cool,
10 Eastern.
Classic movie.
Check out deleted scenes from last night. He did his coming attractions, which will tell you everything he's got coming up this weekend. And Monday night, I think I'm going to get back to Monday night. Monday night at the movies, we're going members only. So it's going to be members night at the movies going forward. So members, keep an eye on the members community tab. Let you know what the movie's going to be. And going forward, I will be asking for your input and putting up polls to decide every week what movie we'll be watching on the Mondays going forward.
And I'll be having a members-only stream at some point. I need to talk to Deleted and about...
you guys could probably hash that out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because Thursdays, as I was just saying, right after Netter's Network, Deleted has his coming attractions, but Netter wants to go to a member stream after that. But of course, Deleted is also her VIP member, so we kind of
I don't want to do anything that's going to disrupt one of his shows.
Figure that out.
We'll figure it out.
So that is, well, at least that's the weekend coming up. Did I miss anything you wanted to cover, Boomer, before we wind it down?
No, I think that's it. We'll touch more on Batman next week. We're also going to do.
We'll do Batman Returns next week, and we'll talk about. I have a lot to say about the much better toys that came out from Kenner when they got the.
We'll talk about those.
Back. But we got to keep this short because we're already 20 minutes into your beauty rest because you got to be to work.
I have to be helping the public tomorrow. Yes. So Monday night, what you got going on?
Like I was saying, the members night movies. Okay. So I got to change the branding on that. Of course, Tuesday live from Sparkwood and 21 and Blake 7, and then Thursday night, Netter. Who is your guest on Thursday?
Give me a sec, because I'm actually drawing a blank. Of course, my computer wants to be slow. Oh, come on. It will be Sporking News Podcast.
Sporking News Podcast. He's got a great presence on X. A lot of good commentary there. We'll talk to him on Thursday, and then come back here next week, Friday, for part 2 of this Batman conversation. Batman Returns.
Yes.
So I think that about covers it. Netter, you want to take us out?
I can do that. Well, you guys know what I always say, and I always mean every word of it. We can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well, good, and fun. But it's so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat, and you're dropping your comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. It feels like we're all hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a great time. And you guys, you know you're not just our friends. You are our family. We love you guys, and we appreciate you so very much. I mean, you could be anywhere right now, and you're here. And that means so much to all of us. I mean, it's incredible the way that you not just encourage us on the panel, but you encourage each other in the chat. That's family.
Yep.
You know, you guys are totally Osmo, and I know y'all know what Osmo means.
Yep.
So thank you so very much for the many ways that you support us, support our channels. And it's not just, you know, the thumbs up and the comments in the chat. You guys have become members. You share our streams. You do super chats and super stickers, and you buy memberships so that other people can be more aware of the channels. And that's encouraging to them because it's like, oh, I got a membership that I wasn't expecting, so I'm gonna make sure I spend more time on there.
That builds the community.
Yeah.
Hopefully they come and join us and enjoy what they see. Speaking of which, I want to thank Ruby Hoove for the gifted membership and the super chat. Geek Flag with Nate Knows, Clue Channel, who also gifted a membership. Joe's Atmosphere, and CluuStudio, who also gifted a membership. You guys are wonderful. You guys are really, really keeping us going, and we super, super appreciate it. And guys, I can't say it enough. We would not be doing it if it weren't for you. We appreciate every single one of you. You are. I've been told by bigger channels that we have a great community here, and that's all because of you guys. And I appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.
The neon lights are fading, closing time is near. Whispers in the corners, secrets shared sincere. The bartender's polishing the final glass. Time slips away like moving through the grass. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true. One more round, friends, from me and you. Let's toast to the night, to the stories we've spun. Here's to the laughter and to what's begun. The shadows are dancing as we linger still. Every clink of a glass, a memory to distill. Beneath this smoky haze, our feelings they unfurl. A tapestry of whispers in this corner of the world. The jukebox serenades us with a final tune, crooning to the lonely and the lovers under the moon. With every soft note, the end draws ever near. But in this fleeting moment, there's nothing to fear. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true. One more round, friends, for me and you. Let's toast to the night, to the stories we